The invitation arrived on a Monday evening, tucked between a utility bill and a grocery store flyer, its weight immediately wrong for the stack it sat in. Daniel Carter noticed it because everything out of place caught his attention these days. He opened it at the kitchen counter while a pot of macaroni boiled over and his 8-year-old son, Ethan, sat cross-legged on the floor building a lopsided spaceship out of plastic blocks. The Harrington Foundation Annual Gala. Black tie. Grand Ellington Hotel. Daniel read it twice, then folded it carefully, as if the paper itself might break under too much scrutiny. He worked for Harrington Global Industries, but he existed on the edges of its vast machinery, useful, dependable, unnoticed. Invitations like this were meant for executives, for people whose names appeared in magazines. Not for a single father who scheduled meetings around school pickups and kept spare juice boxes in his briefcase.
Dad.
Ethan looked up. Did I mess it up again? Daniel smiled automatically.
No, buddy.
You're good. The smile faded when another name surfaced in his mind, unwelcome and persistent. Melissa would be there. His ex-wife never missed a gala, fundraiser, or ribbon cutting if there was a camera within 50 feet. She had always loved the shine of important rooms, the feeling of being seen. Their marriage had ended 3 years ago in courtrooms and raised voices, with Daniel walking away with custody and Melissa walking away with resentment she never bothered to hide. He tucked the invitation into a drawer and told himself he could still decline. The night of the gala, he stood in front of his bedroom mirror adjusting the borrowed tuxedo, the fabric stiff and unfamiliar against his skin. He looked older than he remembered being, exhaustion etched subtly into his face. Responsibility did that. Parenthood did that. He checked the time, then stepped into the living room where Ethan sat on the couch with their neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez. You're going to be okay, right? Ethan asked, suddenly serious. Daniel crouched to his level. I'll be back before you know it. Ethan nodded, reassured, and Daniel left before doubt could talk him into staying. The Grand Ellington Hotel glowed against the night sky, its entrance lined with valet attendants and flashes of camera light. Inside, marble floors reflected chandeliers that glittered like frozen fireworks. Daniel handed over his coat and felt immediately out of place, surrounded by people who wore confidence as easily as tailored suits and silk gowns. He kept to the edges of the ballroom, accepting a glass of water instead of champagne, observing rather than participating. Laughter rolled in waves, conversations overlapping with talk of acquisitions, travel, and influence. He reminded himself that he belonged here by merit, even if it didn't feel that way. Then he heard her voice.
Well.
This is unexpected. Melissa stood a few feet away, radiant in a red gown that drew attention without effort. Her hair was perfectly styled, her smile sharp with recognition. A tall man stood beside her, one hand resting possessively at her back. Daniel, she said, savoring his name. I didn't think you'd get an invite. He met her gaze calmly. Good evening, Melissa. She glanced him up and down, lips curving. Is that rented? The man beside her chuckled. Others nearby leaned in, curiosity sparked. I'm here for work, Daniel said evenly. Oh, of course you are. She turned to the small circle forming around them. This is my ex-husband. Single dad. Very dedicated. Her emphasis carried a familiar edge. He prefers a simpler life. Someone murmured something polite, but the undercurrent was unmistakable. Pity mixed with amusement. Melissa leaned closer, her voice dropping just enough to sound confidential. Still hiding behind responsibility instead of ambition? Daniel felt the familiar tightening in his chest, the old reflex to explain himself, to defend choices that had cost him comfort but given his son stability. He didn't indulge it. I'm proud of my life, he said. Melissa laughed softly. Of course you are. She turned away from him then, dismissing him as easily as she had once dismissed their marriage, and the group followed her attention. Daniel stood there for a moment longer, the hum of the gala filling the space she left behind. He moved toward a quieter corner of the room, the sting of the encounter lingering despite his effort to shake it off. He reminded himself why he had come, to show respect to the company that paid his bills, to endure an evening, to go home. What he didn't know, what he couldn't see, was that from the upper balcony, Victor Harrington himself had watched the exchange with quiet intensity, his expression unreadable as the music swelled and the night pressed forward, setting the stage for a reckoning Daniel never expected. Daniel remained near the edge of the ballroom, nursing his glass of water as though it were an anchor. The music softened, replaced by the low murmur of anticipation as servers cleared a path toward the stage. He welcomed the distraction, grateful for anything that would give his thoughts somewhere else to land besides Melissa's laughter. The lights dimmed, and a hush rolled through the room like a held breath. "Ladies and gentlemen," the host announced, voice polished and warm, "thank you for joining us for the Harrington Foundation's annual gala." Polite applause followed. Daniel barely noticed at first until the host continued. "Tonight is about celebrating those who drive progress not for recognition, but because excellence demands it." Something in that phrasing made Daniel look up. "Please welcome," the host said, pausing just long enough to build reverence, "our founder and CEO, Mr. Victor Harrington." The room rose as one. Applause thundered, sharp and sustained, as Victor Harrington stepped onto the stage. He was taller than Daniel had imagined, composed in a way that suggested control rather than dominance. When the applause faded, Victor spoke without notes, his voice calm and deliberate. "We live in a culture that confuses visibility with value," he said. "Too often, the loudest voices receive the credit, while the quiet work, the work that actually holds things together, goes unnoticed." Daniel felt an uneasy shift in his chest, as though the words had reached him personally. Victor spoke briefly about philanthropy, about responsibility beyond profit, about the Foundation's mission. Then he paused, scanning the crowd slowly, intentionally. His gaze stopped. "Tonight," Victor said, "I want to acknowledge someone who represents the values this company claims to stand for." Daniel frowned, distracted, until the man beside him inhaled sharply. "Daniel Carter," Victor said clearly. "Would you come join me?" For a moment, Daniel didn't move. He searched the room instinctively, certain there had been a mistake. Victor's gaze remained steady, waiting. Heat rushed to Daniel's face as he stepped forward. Conversations died around him, replaced by whispers and the soft click of phones being raised. He walked down the aisle between tables, acutely aware of every step, every eye. On stage, Victor greeted him with a firm handshake. "Thank you for coming," he said, quietly enough to feel human. Victor turned back to the audience. "Daniel has worked at Harrington Global for nearly a decade. During our most aggressive expansion, he led teams through uncertainty with discipline and integrity. He saved this company a great deal of money by doing something rare, telling the truth when it was inconvenient." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Victor continued, "What many don't know is that Daniel turned down advancement not because he lacked ambition, but because he had priorities. He chose to raise his son himself. He chose responsibility when no one was watching." The room stilled, then shifted, attention sharpening into respect. Daniel's throat tightened. He thought of early mornings, of late nights, of being invisible by necessity. He had never expected any of it to be seen. Victor placed a hand on his shoulder. "Character isn't built on stages like this," he said, "but it deserves to be acknowledged here." Applause rose again, louder this time, layered with something warmer than obligation. Daniel's gaze flicked instinctively through the crowd, landing on Melissa. Her expression had hardened, disbelief flashing behind her eyes. Victor waited for the applause to fade. "There was an exchange earlier this evening," he said evenly, "that reminded me why leadership matters." A ripple of tension passed through the room. "I don't tolerate disrespect toward people who carry their weight with integrity," Victor continued. "And I don't reward those who confuse status with substance." Silence pressed in, thick and expectant. "Effective immediately," Victor said, "Daniel Carter will assume the role of Director of Strategic Development." Gasps broke the quiet. Applause erupted, no longer polite, no longer restrained. Daniel felt the world tilt beneath him, the words struggling to settle into meaning. Victor leaned closer, his voice low but resolute. "You earned this long before tonight. As Daniel stepped back from the stage moments later, applause still echoing, he felt something shift, not triumph, not revenge, but a quiet recalibration of worth. Across the room, Melissa stood frozen, her carefully constructed confidence fractured. Daniel returned to the edge of the ballroom, but the space around him had changed. Conversations angled toward him now. Eyes followed. Respect, long withheld, had found him at last. And yet, as the night pressed on, Daniel sensed this wasn't an ending. It was a turning point, one that would force every person in that room, including himself, to confront what truly mattered once the lights dimmed and the applause faded. The gala dissolved into movement and noise, but the energy around Daniel felt different now, charged and directional. People who had passed him earlier without a glance approached with smiles sharpened by interest. Hands reached for his, names were offered with sudden warmth, and compliments landed in quick succession, each one trying to establish relevance. Daniel accepted them with measured courtesy, aware of how easily attention could blur into excess. Across the room, Melissa stood near the bar, her posture rigid despite the effortless elegance she had perfected over years. When their eyes met, she hesitated, then crossed the distance between them, heels clicking with restrained urgency. "So," she said, folding her arms lightly. "Director now." Daniel nodded. "It appears so." Her smile was thin. "You never mentioned you were that indispensable." "I didn't know it mattered," he replied. She exhaled sharply, frustration bleeding through the composure. "Do you have any idea how that made me look up there?" Daniel studied her face, searching for the familiarity that once justified compromise. He found only the echo of it. "Tonight wasn't about you." She laughed once, brittle. "It always is, Daniel. You just refuse to understand how the world works." "I understand it well enough," he said. "I just chose differently." For a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Regret, perhaps, or the recognition of a path not taken. Then it vanished, replaced by pride too deeply ingrained to loosen. "This doesn't change who you are," she said quietly. "It changes how I'm seen," Daniel replied. "And maybe how I see myself." She turned away without another word, leaving the space between them clearer than it had ever been. The remainder of the evening passed with a strange sense of calm. Daniel spoke briefly with Victor Harrington, who offered guidance without ceremony and reassurance without indulgence. There was no grand speech, no public spectacle beyond what had already occurred, only a mutual understanding that expectations had shifted. When Daniel finally stepped outside, the city air felt cooler, lighter. He breathed deeply, grounding himself before the moment could turn unreal. The ride home was quiet, his thoughts orderly in a way they hadn't been in years. At the house, the lights were low. Mrs. Alvarez smiled knowingly as she gathered her coat. "He waited up for you," she said softly. Ethan was asleep on the couch, a book open on his chest, glasses crooked on his nose. Daniel lifted him carefully, carrying him to bed as though nothing in the world weighed more. "Dad," Ethan murmured as he tucked him in. "I'm here," Daniel whispered. "Did the big dinner go okay?" Daniel paused, choosing his words with care. "It did," he said. "But the best part is being home." Ethan smiled faintly and drifted back to sleep. Later, alone in the quiet, Daniel sat at the kitchen table, the night replaying in fragments. He understood now that recognition wasn't the reward, alignment was. His life, once dismissed as small, had been validated without being compromised. Yet beneath the calm settled a new awareness. Promotion carried scrutiny. Visibility invited expectation. The world that had finally noticed him would not look away again. Daniel turned off the light and headed to bed, resolved to meet what came next on his own terms, knowing the real test would begin not in ballrooms or boardrooms, but in the choices that followed when no one was watching. The weeks after the gala unfolded with a steadiness that surprised Daniel. The title change altered how people addressed him, but not how he approached his days. He arrived early, left on time, and kept his evenings guarded for homework, dinner, and the quiet rituals that anchored his life. The difference now was that his boundaries were no longer questioned. They were respected. Victor Harrington checked in without fanfare, offering direction rather than control. Their conversations were precise, grounded in shared values rather than hierarchy. Daniel listened carefully, absorbing not just strategy, but the intent behind it. Leadership, he learned, was less about command than consistency. One afternoon, Victor joined him in a conference room after a long review session. Visibility comes with temptation, Victor said. People will expect you to trade parts of yourself for approval. Daniel nodded. I don't plan to. Victor studied him, then smiled.
Good.
Don't start now. At home, life remained unchanged in the ways that mattered. Ethan talked endlessly about school projects and future inventions, unaware of boardroom politics or reputational shifts. Daniel listened with the same attention he brought to quarterly forecasts, knowing both required patience and faith. The Education Initiative was announced quietly, a program focused on stability for working families, launched under the foundation without spectacle. Daniel insisted it be measured by outcomes, not publicity. When asked to speak at its unveiling, he hesitated, then agreed, understanding the weight of presence when used with restraint. The event was smaller than the gala, held in a community hall rather than a hotel ballroom. Ethan sat in the front row, feet swinging, eyes bright. Daniel spoke plainly about responsibility, about the unseen labor that built futures, about choosing what endured over what impressed. There was no applause until he finished, and then it was genuine. Afterward, Victor approached him. You did well, he said. Daniel shook his hand. You gave me the chance. Victor's expression softened. You took it. Outside, dusk settled gently, the city humming at a distance. Daniel and Ethan walked to the car, their steps unhurried. Dad, Ethan asked, are you important now? Daniel considered the question carefully. I've always been important, he said. Just to different people. Ethan smiled, satisfied. As they drove home, Daniel reflected on the night that had shifted his path. Humiliation had not undone him, it had revealed the measure of those around him and, more importantly, of himself. He understood now that worth didn't announce itself. It endured. The road ahead promised scrutiny, challenge, and change, but he welcomed it without fear. Whatever came next, he would meet it as he always had, quietly, deliberately, and without surrendering the life he had chosen. And somewhere beyond the glow of the dashboard lights, the future waited, not as a spectacle, but as a responsibility he was ready to carry.